بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. أما بعد. Tonight's class, we're going to do a little bit here. We're going to do a little bit wrong. And inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow will be a little bit here to keep the two books of Hadith back to back for more and better concentration. Meaning, concentrated instead of stood up. The last hadith that we mentioned in Bulugh al-Maram was number 40, and we've reached hadith number 41, in which the author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وعن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعجبه التيمم في تنعله وترجله وطهوره وفي شأنه كله متفق عليه. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأتم فابدأوا بميامنكم. أخرجه الأربعة وصححه ابن خزيمة. وعن المغيرة بن شعبة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم توضأ فمسح بناصيته وعلى العمامة والخفين. أخرجه مسلم. وعن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله تعالى عنهما في صفة حج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ابدأوا بما بدأ الله به. أخرجه النسائي هكذا بلفظ الأمر، وعند مسلم بلفظ الخبر. وعنه قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ أدار الماء على مرفقيه. أخرجه الدارقطني بإسناد فيه ضعيف. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا وضوء لمن لم يذكر اسم الله عليه. أخرجه أحمد وأبو داود وابن ماجه بإسناد ضعيف. والترمذي عن سعيد بن زيد وابن سعيد نحوه، وقال أحمد لا يثبت فيه شيء. وعن طلحة بن مصرف عن أبيه عن جده قال رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يفصل بين المضمضة والاستنشاق. أخرجه أبو داود بإسناد ضعيف. وعن علي رضي الله تعالى عنه في صفة الوضوء ثم تمضمض صلى الله عليه وسلم واستنثر ثلاثا يمضمض وينثر من الكف الذي يأخذ منه الماء. أخرجه أبو داود والنسائي. وعن عبد الله بن زيد رضي الله تعالى عنه في صفة الوضوء ثم أدخل صلى الله عليه وسلم يده فمضمض واستنشق من كف واحد يفعل ذلك ثلاثا. خير إن شاء الله. Before you move on any further, تفضل شريف. حديث number 41 اقرأ.
Sheikh, I think last time we finished at
Finish حديث number 41.
No, I think we got up to 30.
حديث عائشة.
I
By
got
using, starting with the right, you finish that?
No, I got up to Hadith 37.
37. طيب خير إن شاء الله.
I'm not mistaken.
خير أبشر. Says here وعن عثمان رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يخلل لحيته في الوضوء. أخرجه الترمذي وصححه ابن خزيمة. طيب Imran, whenever Imran, please somebody let Imran know I need my subul salam whenever he gets a chance. طيب Hadith number 37 اقرأ. Yusuf's next. You're going to read from your book that you have. تفضل.
وعن عثمان رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يخلل لحيته في الوضوء.
لحيته مفعول.
لحيته في الوضوء. أخرجه الترمذي وصححه ابن خزيمة.
Right. Do you notice any difference when you read hadiths now after reading Sahih Muslim?
No.
With the asanid, long, repetitive, you notice a difference?
Yeah, no.
Right.
What that's not.
Read the translation, please.
Narrated Uthman radiallahu anhu, while performing wudu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would run his fingers through his beard. Reported by At-Tirmidhi, Ibn Khuzayma, graded
Khuzayma.
Khuzayma.
Who's Ibn Khuzayma? I will say. Man Ibn Khuzayma, who researched his life. Right, تفضل. Imran. تفضل أبو سعيد. Read the next hadith, Sharif.
وعن عبد الله بن زيد رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أتي بثلثي مد فجعل يدلك ذراعي. أخرجه أحمد وصححه ابن خزيمة. وأنه رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يأخذ لأذيه ماء خلاف الماء الذي أخذه لرأسه. أخرجه البيهقي وقال إسناده صحيح، وصححه الترمذي أيضا، وهو عند مسلم من هذا الوجه بلفظ ومسح برأسه بماء غير فضل يديه، وهو المحفوظ.
Right. So we skip the hadith or what? We skip these hadiths?
I think so.
You think so?
The last
We did hadith Abu Hurairah about the Ghurra and Muhajjalin.
No.
So we must have skipped them. No? We must have what? Skipped them. Khayr inshallah. I think we skipped them. Khayr. Tayyib.
We did the hadith of Ibn Khuzaymah.
We did hadith 37, Uthman, Lithia?
When his fingers through the beard,
Yeah.
that was supposed to be the one for this class.
So we skipped them. We definitely explained for sure hadith number 40.
I wasn't here, so we did Blue Marvin today?
No, I'm talking about last week.
Last week?
Hadith number 40 for sure we explained. Hadith Abu Hurairah.
Last week, I believe this is where we're at right now.
Sure. Last time we did Buluk al-Maram,
No.
we were explaining about the horse and the blaze.
No.
And about the what?
The radiance and height.
Aywa. We did that for sure. Right?
No.
We stopped. Hadith number 37, 38 and 39 must have been skipped. One way or another, they were what? Skip. Khayr inshallah. Let's move forward. Hadith number 37. The author says that Uthman radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet ﷺ used to make that which is called takhleel al-lihya. Takhleel al-lihya. Whenever he made wudu, he would run his fingers through his beard. Alayhi salatu wasalam. And this hadith is collected by Imam al-Tirmidhi rahimahullah. The main lesson we get from this hadith is another adab of wudu. Another hukm of wudu. Another mas'ala, another issue of wudu. And that is the issue of running your fingers through your beard. Is it from the sunnah to do it? Is it mandatory to do it? Is there detail with regards to a thick beard and a thin beard? A thick beard and a thin beard. If a man has a very thick beard, bushy beard, long, thick beard, in which you cannot see the color of his cheek, the color of his skin or his face from behind the hair, is it detailed? If a man has a thin beard, a beard that's growing in, and you can still see some of his face from behind the hair, does he have to wash, etc.? This is what this hadith is dealing with. This hadith is what we would call al-aslu fil bab. Al-aslu fil bab. It is the cornerstone, the main hadith on the whole entire what? Concept. Bab meaning what? Concept of takhleel al-lihya. Do I have to make takhleel al-lihya? Is it virtuous? And also, another important issue, Khalid, is how to make takhleel al-lihya. Like this, like that, like this. What is the way? This hadith is considered the umdah. And perhaps it's the most authentic hadith from the other hadith. There are many, many narrations regarding تخليل اللحية. Al-Zayla'i rahimahullah, Hafid al-Zayla'i mentioned about 14 Sahaba who narrated this from the Prophet ﷺ. So the issue is Takhlilul Lihya. And before we move forward, as we always say, from one thing learn 10,000 things. We see the concept of the ignorance of those who say that you can't have braids and make wudu. Men are not allowed to wear braids, men can't wear plaits, because you can't what? Make wudu. That makes no sense, as we've explained. But also from this aspect, from one thing we learn 10,000 other things. If this hadith is talking about making takhleel without washing and scrubbing his face, his beard is thick, then obviously the water didn't reach the what? His skin, his face. Which deserves to be washed more? Your face or your head? Without a doubt. Allah says wipe the head and what? Wash the face. So based off of this hadith, before we even get into the issue, Sahih, this, that, just based off this hadith, it's permissible not to wash the face because of what? From one thing, learn what? Based off of this hadith, Riyadh, it's telling you what? It's permissible not to do what?
Wash the head.
Riyadh, it's permissible not to do what?
To wash the head?
No.
No.
Wash the face. Because of what? Because of what?
Is he just running your fingers through?
Because of
someone blocking that.
hair. Had something that's preventing it. And that thing that prevents it is not human, it's not man-made, it's what? Natural. It's what? Hair. It's what? Like, everybody on this? Allah tells us to wash the face and to do what? Wipe the head. So these people, they say you can't wipe over the braids or long hair because the water must what? Touch the scalp. And this is the actual what? Face. And tell you, pay close attention please to this fa'idah. Pay close attention to what? This fa'idah. Take this fa'idah for free. And this concept of thinking, this systematic breakdown. One thing that's mandatory to do, you don't have to do it because of hair. Something that isn't mandatory, you can't do it because of what?
Hair.
That's just totally backwards. That's totally what?
Backwards.
Totally backwards. So there's one thing and then other thing. Everybody understand this? فهمنا هذا? If a man has hair on his head, the water in wudu does not have to touch his what? Scalp. Everybody understand this? Even in the ghusl, that's a long discussion. We spoke about this earlier. Q&A, huh?
No.
Driving, huh? Right. Everybody understand this? Everyone with me or not? How are you going to put wudu in your hair? Are you telling me that every time you make wudu, water has to reach your scalp? For water to reach your scalp, that means what? Your hair is going to be what? Soaking what?
Wet.
Soaking wet. Every time you make wudu. So many people, they have this understanding. When it comes to men with long hair or with a lot of hair, you have, what's that hairstyle called? Yeah.
Suave.
A suave or suave?
Suave.
Suave, huh? Whether you have a suave, whether you have an afro, whether you have a box, whether you have braids or plaits. Everybody clear on this? It's a very important concept for us not to be ignorant and not to have compound ignorance. Someone says, what's the room of men having braids or making wudu? Say, I don't know. La adri. I don't know. That's ignorance. That's not the same as a person say it's haram because of kada or kada or kada. Now that's not what? Compound ignorance. Everybody understand this? Khayr inshallah. So this hadith, the hadith of Uthman radiallahu anhu, is teaching us this concept. That when you make wudu, the beard should not be what? Neglected. The beard should not be what? Neglected. Everybody clear on this? That's the main concept of this hadith. The same concept of one thing and 10,000 things is other rulings in Islam. If the Prophet ﷺ is quoted to have done something with his beard in wudu, then that proves that he had a what? A beard, and he was not shaven. The Rasulullah was not what? He was not shaven. Everybody clear on this? He wasn't what? Wasn't shaven. Khayr inshallah. And if there's so many rulings pertaining to the beard, then that obviously shows that the beard is a part of what? The deen. It's part of the deen, and it's not just cultural practice, as some people may say. That the beard is just culture. It's just culture. It's just tradition and custom. If it was cultural, tradition, and custom, why did it have so many detailed rulings of wudu? Hajj and Umrah. If someone does something and destroys your beard and it won't grow anymore, they have to pay a diya. Blood money is paid. Everybody understand this? How much blood money do you pay for the beard? Anybody know? Anybody have a clue how much?
You weigh the hair?
No. Research this. You'll be shocked.
Same as a life.
If somebody puts something on your face, some type of tonic, bad barber, cheap stuff, alcohol, not the quality stuff, You can go further or that's enough? Sure. Someone put something on your face which caused your hair to fall out, destroyed your hair, destroyed the roots, the follicles, whatever the case may be, and the beard wouldn't grow back anymore. It messed up your face. There's a diya that he has to pay in the Islamic system, the Islamic Sharia. How much is that diya? You'll be shocked when you read how much it is. Moving forward. So this hadith also teaches us that the beard is from the what? From the deen. Wajib, not wajib, but we can at least establish, but this one hadith that is from the what? From the deen. And anyone says otherwise, it's clearly proven that he is ignorant. That he is ignorant. Everybody clear on this? Khayr, inshallah. Let's move forward. The main lesson from this hadith is istihbabu or mashru'iyatu takhleel al-lihya. Is the legality and the legitimacy of doing what? Takhleel, wetting the beard. Not mandatory, but what? At least that's what we've been from this one narration. And other reports say that the Prophet did it, and he said, "Hakadi or hakada amarani Rabbi." My Lord has commanded me to do so. My Lord has commanded me to do so. Based off of that narration, it will prove that doing that is what? Wajib. Fard. Everybody understand this? Khayr, inshallah. So that's the main faida and lesson from this hadith. Let's read the biography of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. As-San'ani rahimahullah, he says, هو أبو عبد الله عثمان بن عفان الأموي القرشي أحد الخلفاء وأحد العشرة، أسلم في أول الإسلام وهاجر إلى الحبش الهجرتين، وتزوج بنت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم رقية أولا، ثم لما توفي تزوجه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بأم كلثوم، واستخلف في أول يوم من المحرم سنة 24، وقتل يوم الجمعة ل18 خرج من ذي الحجة الحرام سنة 35، ودفن ليلة السبت بالبقيع وعمره 82 سنة، وقيل غير ذلك. It says here, he is Abu Abdullah Uthman ibn Affan al-Umawi al-Qurashi, one of the Khulafa and one of the 10 companions that was specifically promised Jannah. He accepted Islam in the early days and made both migrations to Abyssinia, to Ethiopia. He also married 2 of the Prophet's daughters, Ruqayya. Then after her death, he married Kulthum. And then he goes on to speak on when he was made the Khalifa, the first day of Muharram, in the year 24 of the Hijrah. And he was martyred on the day of Jum'ah, the 18th day of the Hijjah, in the year 35. Thus being buried in the Baqi' burial ground at the age of 82. And others say things besides that. We've done a class on this in Minneapolis a couple of summers ago on the 10 Companions Promised Paradise. And also in Brooklyn, a biography of Uthman. I don't think that's published yet on the channel, but we did do it. In which we spoke on his life in a bit more detail, his physical description, and more of his virtues. So that is Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He then says here, speaking on the different reports of the Sahaba regarding doing this with the beard. He says, he mentions the narration of Anas, narration of Aisha, Ali, Ammar, and many others, Salama, Abu Ayyub, Abu Umama, Ibn Umar, Jabir, Ibn Abbas, and Abu Darda. He then says, وأما وجوبه فاختلف فيه، فعند الحدوية يجب قبل نباتها. He then mentions very, very briefly, which we'll also do, the ruling on making takhleel al-lihya. Is it mandatory or recommended? Most of the ulama, majority of them, hold the view that it isn't mandatory. And that is something that's preferable to do. And there's a small number of ulama who view that it's wajib. Obviously, those who say that it's wajib, they use this hadith. And they also use a point of reasoning. Aqal, another, as he mentions here. He says, doing the taqleel of the lihya is the substitute and replacement for the actual washing of the face. It was mandatory to do it, something that's prevented it, so at least you can do what? At least you can do what? Aywa. You can't shave your beard, that's haram. It's impermissible for a Muslim man to shave his beard. You can't take the hair off when you make wudu and put it back. So they say that the best thing to do is to do what? Everybody clear on this? And those ulama will hold the view that it is not mandatory. They use several proofs and evidences. Whether it not being mentioned in the Quran, or another proof would be what?
The direct command. Hadith.
The
A direct command from the Prophet.
The same ayah said.
We mentioned it several times about saying Bismillah.
Oh, hadith.
Aywa. The other numerous hadith that are clearly authentic, sound, did not what? Did not mention it. And others, they may say that this hadith doesn't prove that it's mandatory, but it proves that it's what? Mustahab. And neither of the other hadith. And other ulama, they say that this hadith itself, they make kalam on this hadith. They say, huwa ma'lul, la yathbut. It's inauthentic, and it's not authentically traced back to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. That's in what? In brief. These are the main fawaid with regards to the argument. Now, as far as how do you make taqleel al-lihya? Do you do it like this? Do you do it like this? Or do you take the word in your hand and do this? Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this?
Mm-hmm.
Which of the three do you do? Like this?
Yeah.
Like, why? Perfect answer. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. What would you do?
Same things up the side.
Like, going down, huh? Like, what would you do? Khalid?
Same thing like that.
Nobody would do it like this?
I do it like that.
With both hands. Everybody understand this? I don't know him. Is that we really don't have a load of information on a specific modality of doing it. A specific detailed instruction, the manner of doing it specifically. We don't necessarily have that. So it goes back to that which is simple and that which is what? Easy. That which is simple and that which is what? Easy. Bismillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khayr inshallah. Moving forward. Next hadith. He says, narrated Abdullah bin Zayd, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu, he says what? 2/3 of a mud of water was brought to the Prophet sallallahu for ablution. So he began rubbing his arms, reported by Ahmad ibn Khuzaymah, graded Sahih. And narrated Abdullah bin Zayd. Who is Abdullah bin Zayd, Sharif? We mentioned his biography. Further. Who mentioned, we gave the fact of Abdullah bin Zayd. What's special about him, Yusuf? Abdullah bin Zayd.
Student of Ibn Abbas?
Let's go back. When do we have Abdullah bin Zayd? Hadith number 32. It says, عن عبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم رضي الله تعالى عنه. Same Abdullah bin Zayd or different one? Describing the nature of ablution, performance. Allah's Messenger wiped his head from forehead to the back of his head and then back to his forehead with wet hands. Then we have here, narrated, Abdullah ibn Zayd radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was brought thuluthayn, 2/3 of a mud, and he did what?
Wash the arms.
Aywa. Same companion or different companion?
Same one.
So what about his biography that we mentioned?
He served the Prophet.
What else? Something that's clear, it's distinguished.
He killed somebody.
He killed somebody. Like, who did he kill? Musaylim. Who's Musaylim and killed that?
That dude that claimed prophethood.
So, right, who else? What else do we mention? Huh?
He died 63 after Hijrah.
Something very special about him.
He's a Sahaba.
He's a Sahabi. Right, something else.
Is he the son of Asma?
Something else.
Isn't he the adopted son of
Nah, something else.
No one is able.
Khayran, inshallah. Moving forward. The main lesson we give in this hadith are the following. Number one is the recommendation or the permissibility of economizing water in wudu. To be mindful of how much water you use. Not to waste. Not to be negligent. And using what? Too much water. Not necessarily saying that when you cut on the faucet, that's wasting water. That's an argument in itself. We don't necessarily have that view that that's considered what? Wasting water. Everybody understand this? Pouring water, something out of a bottle, different story. A well, different story. But to waste water that's being what?
Recycle.
Aywa. Take a cardboard box and we do what? Recycle it. Whole Foods, Trader Joe, get a bag. The bag is made of what?
Paper.
Recycled.
Paper.
Everyone understand this? Is that considered necessarily what?
Waste.
Wasting. Khayran, inshallah. So that's a general concept. But it's to be what? Mindful of the water that you what? Use. And this is a very important concept for the Muslim. Is always be mindful of using what you need, avoiding using that which you don't need. And this can help you out often. When you don't have things, when things are going very rough, very tough, you never complain. Because I've already trained myself to just use what I need. I don't have to eat this every day for dinner. I don't have to eat a warm cooked meal every single day. Somebody may say this. Once a week, I do that. I train myself not to have a what? Cooked meal. Because a day will come in which I don't have the ability to have a cooked meal. Only Allah knows. We've seen people hollering and screaming on Hajj at Mina, crying and complaining about food. Literally. Nah, you can't get the bake today. Bake is too far, no bake. Play it, almost blow their Hajj for some food. We've seen this. Car broken down, plane broken down, in the airport, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this? Or walking. Some brothers, they never ever walk. Ride, drive. When the car breaks down, it's the end of the what? End of the world. My cell phone is broke. My cell phone is missing, whatever the case may be. So that's just a general concept, what? In Islam. A general concept, what? In Islam. Khayran, inshallah. Moving forward. As-Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, بعد ما ذكر بعض الروايات وهي كلها قاضية بالتخفيف في ماء الوضوء وقد علم نهي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الإسراف في الماء وإخباره أنه سيأتي قوم يعتدون في الوضوء فمن جاوز ما قال الشارع إنه يجزئ فقد أسرف فيحرم وقل من قال إن هذا تقريب لا تحديد ما هو ببعيد لكن الأحسن بالمتشرع محاكاة أخلاقه صلى الله عليه وسلم والاقتداء به في كمية ذلك وفيه دليل على مشروعية الدلك لأعضاء الوضوء في خلاف فمن قال بوجوبه استدل بهذا ومن قال لا يجب قال لأن المأمور به في الآية الغسل وليس الدلك من مسماه ولعله يأتي ذكر ذلك. Another issue pertaining to this hadith is what?
Description of process of wudu.
A description of his wudu. What else? Another major issue in this hadith.
That he rubbed his forearms.
He rubbed his arms. And he didn't just what? Aywa. This is another mas'ala khilafiyya among the ulama. Al-ghasl. What is meant by al-ghasl? Waste. When you make wudu, do you have to do this? Or is it permissible to just put the arm under the faucet?
There's a ikhtilaf on
Fire. No doubt. We're mentioning that right now. What is mandatory? When you wash something or when you make a ghusl, can you just get in the shower? Or must the water be what? Rubbed on the body. Everybody understand this? This hadith supports what argument?
Rubbing.
That you have to rub.
He massaged his arms. And the water was not just what? Poured. Everybody clear on this? That's what this hadith supports. Everybody understand this? Now, let's get back to the first issue about water. Is it haram to use more than 2/3 of a mud? What is a mud? Yeah. What's a mud? Quickly. Imran. A mud. A cent. A mud is what? Of normal size hands. Not hands that are too big. Not hands that are too small. But what? Mid-size. Average size. Everybody understand this? Obviously that differs from culture to culture. Race to race. Place to place. Some brothers have really big hands. MashaAllah. Some brothers have small hands. Everybody understand this? But in general, middle-sized hands. This is called a what? A mud. So this hadith says he was brought how much? 2/3 of this. It's a little bit of water. So some people, they say that it's not necessarily haram, but it's something that's taqreeb. Close measurement. Yeah, they say approximately. Everybody understand this? As for wasting water, and as you said before, that's a very long argument. The question is, two concepts now. Concept number one. Is the hadith that states wasting water sahih? Even if you're on the bank of or the shore, the river bank, it's still israf. We had an argument here in this masjid. Brother told me that the hadith is in Sahih Bukhari. I said, yeah, Sheikh, Allah have mercy on you and your parents, yeah, Sheikh. It's not. He says, la, it's in Sahih Bukhari. Right? I said, yeah, Sheikh. So he opened up Sahih Bukhari, Fatul Bari. Alhamdulillah. Everybody understand this? I'm him. The point I'm trying to get to is that hadith sahih? Number two, he mentions the hadith that the Prophet said, a time will come and people will transgress in two things. They will transgress in dua and they will transgress in tuhur. They will go beyond the bounds in praying to Allah and then also making wudu. Are these even sahih? When we start talking about the argument of wasting water, Allah clearly says, Kulu washrabu wa la tusrifu, innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. He told Adam, the son of Adam, the children of Adam, Khudu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. Cover yourselves. Cover your head, cover your body when you wish to pray. Eat and drink and do not be excessive. Do not be a spendthrift. Do not make israf. Allah loveth not the musrifun. He does not love those people who go what?
Yeah.
Well. So that's clearly established. The concept of not being excessive in your life and your ibadah. But when we talk about wudu and ghusl, if somebody says you can't take a shower for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can't take a bath because that's wasting water. Where is this at? Where is the authentic dalil that is wasting water? And wasting water in wudu? Where? Everybody understand this? I thought of this companion, one thing. Imam al-Bukhari says, وَكَرِهَ أَهْلُ الْعِلْمِ الْإِسْرَافَ فِيهِ. One thing. But a hadith that's from the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now you have to what? You have to bring that, you have to prove. Now that's one of the most famous weak hadith with regards to wasting water, even if you're at the what? The river shore. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear this? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was brought 2/3 of a mud and he made wudu. It does not prove, this hadith does not state, it does not prove that it's mandatory to make wudu with that little bit of what? Water. Rather, the thing that it proves is the general concept of takhfif fil ma. It's not using too much water if you don't have to. And we said just economizing things, doing without. That's firstly, or second. And thirdly, most importantly, is how the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba lived. The general concept of not being excessive, let alone his climate and his environment. His climate and his environment. The Arabian Peninsula was not like other parts of the world. Water was abundant. Not saying wasted, but there is a difference. Everybody understand this? Water was extremely scarce. Rain was very seldom. Let alone the concept of recycling water. Everybody understand this? So you can't necessarily go to the wudu station and tell everybody, it's haram, actually cut down the water. That's haram. You for you to take a shower like that. We go make a dawah trip, we're in a hotel, it's time to go. I say, I'm gonna take a shower. I take a nice hot shower. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm tired, I'm sick, I had a long day. Take a nice shower. I take my scrub brush, my shampoo, my herbal shampoo, my rubber ducky, everything that I need for he says, you can't do that, ya akhi. It's haram for you to take that type of shower and sing. You can't do that, mufti. Everyone saying this, can you say that? And many people, they what? They do this and they say that. Is it haram? Is that considered wasting water? Leave off the concept of recycling the water. But just the fact, if I'm not wasting it, if I'm doing what? I'm using it. And the hot water is what? It's therapeutic. The hot water is considered what? Therapeutic. Just like eating food. Can you say I'm wasting food if I have a little bit more? I'm still hungry. I want some more food in my stomach. Is that considered what?
Waste.
It's not wasting because the food is what? Being eaten. And the same applies to the water. It's not just you running the water and the water's running. But the water's actually on my skin, on my back, on my hair. I'm scrubbing, I'm washing, I'm soaking, I'm enjoying the ni'mah of Allah. The hot water, it does things to you. Everyone, pain and ache. Everybody doing this? I want to be clean. Person takes a bath. My back hurt, my feet hurt. Everybody understand this? Epsom salt. Your grandmother, right, Jeremy? Epsom salt was always in the bathroom, no doubt. Khayr, inshallah. So can we necessarily say that? So we have to be very careful on what we what? Everybody have to be what? Very careful. As far as the concept of rubbing the body parts, then the reason why the ulama differ is an issue of lugha. What does the word ghasl mean? Does the word ghasl mean dalk? Or does it mean just pouring water on something? Imam Shawkani rahimahullah in Nail al-Awtar and other books as well, he defends his argument very staunchly. And he says that the hadith in which the word ghasala, فَغَسَلَهُ, whenever the word ghasal is mentioned, it's always talking about the Prophet ﷺ rubbing or wiping. Everybody clear on this? And other ulama, they say no. The word ghasala in the Arabic language does not necessitate, nor does it require to scrub, to rub, to massage. But the sheer act of what? Pour. So let's take it back to English. You wash up. What does it mean to wash up, Ataki? It's very important. What does it mean? Nahiyan. What is it to wash up? You're young, you start, your body starts to develop, you change, you start going through puberty, your mom says, go in the bathroom and wash up. And don't come out. She locks you in the bathroom. Don't come out until what? 10 minutes. So I want you to what? Scrub. I want you to do what? Wash up. What is understood from that? To wash. To scrub. Or something spills on your carpet. You say what? Wash the carpet. It means what?
Clean the carpet.
Huh? You understand this? I'm washing my car. Do you just pour the water on it or what? Everybody understand this? So we have to understand the language now. Does wash just mean what? Pour? Or does wash mean scrub? Everybody understand? It's a very important issue in Arabic and in what? In English. The language. It's the lugha is the key to understanding the Sharia. If you don't understand the language being spoken, you can't implement anything. Everybody understand this? So this is what the ulama, this is one of the reasons why they what? Differ on this. Khayr inshallah. Tayyib, khayr inshallah. And he says that's going to be mentioned with more detail later on. Next hadith. It says here, وعنه أنه رأى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يأخذ لأذنيه ماء غير الماء الذي أخذه لرأسه أخرجه البيهقي وعند مسلم من هذا الوجه بلفظ ومسح برأسه بماء غير فضل يديه وهو المحفوظ. ما معنى المحفوظ؟ ما معنى كلمة المحفوظ؟ tablet, books, المحفوظ. ما معناه هنا؟ المحفوظ.
Come from here? Hafala?
Coming from here, حفظة, clearly, from حفظة. But what does it mean here? محفوظ. And why do we mention this? This goes to show you the ultimate necessity for every student of knowledge to learn the basics of what? Al-Mustalah. Student of knowledge to learn the basics of hadith terminology. The basics. You must learn the what? The basics of what? Hadith what? Terminology. Mustalah al-hadith. What is mahfuz? What is shadh? What is munkar? What is muttarib? What do these terms mean? I'm not an expert student of hadith. I don't want to specialize in hadith. But in order to read the books of the people of knowledge and to benefit from them, this is a summarized book. I must learn the what? The basics. Fadl.
No.
Everybody clear on this? Khayran inshallah. So what is this hadith telling us to do? Or what is it telling us the Prophet did? It's also narrated by Abdullah ibn Zayd. He saw the Prophet taking some water to wipe his ears other than the water he had taken to wipe his head. You make wudu in your head. However you make a mess, as we show in the tutorial, then what do you do next? Put your hands back under the water or back into the bowl and then do what? Wipe them again. That's what this hadith teaches us. This is what the Prophet ﷺ did. He wiped his ears with water that was not used for his head. The author says, as far as the version of Muslim, he says what? Is that بِمَاءٍ غَيْرِ فَضْلِ يَدَيْهِ وَهُوَ الْمَحْفُوظُ. Is that he wiped his ears with the water was what? He said he wiped his head with water that wasn't what? From his arms. He washed his arms from his fingertips, and not like as many people do from the wrist. That's wrong. And if you do that, your wudu may not be valid. When you wash your hands, وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, what's meant by that is from the tips to the elbow, and not from the wrist to the elbow. Huge problem if you just do that, which many people do. From the tips of the fingers to the what? To the elbows. Alright, clear on this? After he did that, he washed it, then he took fresh water, wiped the head, and he wiped the ears with the same water. Same water. Everybody understand this? So we have two different narrations. There's a clear discrepancy between these two what? Reports. One report says this, and another report says, everybody clear on that? So the author, he says, وَهُوَ الْمَحْفُوظ. Is the version of Imam Muslim is al-Mahfuz. And the version of al-Bayhaqi is what? According to the author, he will consider al-Khata. Al-Riwaya al-Shadha. Al-Riwaya al-Shadha. Al-Riwaya al-Khata. Al-Wahd. He says that the first version is an error, it's a mistake. And the second version is the correct version. In the science of Hadith, we have different terminologies. And from those terminologies, that which is called ash-shadh. Shadha yashuddu shududhan. For shadhun. Shadh. And then we also have that which is called al-munkar. Ankara yunkiru inkaran. And then we have al-mahfuz. Right? So there's long difference of opinion among the ulama with regards to the definition of shadh. What's important here is that some people say we have a report, a hadith that is sound. It's sound. And then we have another report that is also sound. And the two reports clearly go against each other. They clearly clash. Clearly outwardly contradicting each other. There's no way we can harmonize between these two. Or if there is a way of harmonizing them, but what's important is that they outwardly what? Clash. But they're both authentic. We can't just reject one. They're both authentic. So they say the second report or the first, what's important, the stronger of the two wins the arm wrestling match. The narration, which has a stronger sound or more sound body, sanad and method, or is more narrators, or this student stood with his teacher longer than that student, etc., then they say this riwayah takes precedence. And the other riwayah, the other narration version, is rejected and sent out. And it is called, according to this definition, shadha. It's shadh. رواية المقبول لمن هو أرجح منه. رواية المقبول ما رواه المقبول and it's مخالفة, it's going against that which is stronger. In other words, based off of this basic lesson, both of these narrations are seemingly what? Authentic. Both of them are outwardly what? Authentic. None of them are outwardly dhaif. But one is what? More authentic. Step number 2. Step number 3, there's a clash between the texts of the two hadiths. One says he took new water, the other one said he didn't. So they say the way of fixing this problem is taking one and rejecting the other. In other words, two witnesses. Call it reality. They come and they report something. I saw a man walking in the masjid and he had on a red shirt, a red hoodie. Riyadh says no, he was wearing a blue hoodie. He didn't say blue stripe, Blue stripes? No. Red and blue. Two different solid colors. Main colors. Riyad's trustworthy, strong memory. He doesn't lie. He pays attention. So it's Khalid. It's a problem. So what do we have to do? If there's a way of proving that Khalid's narration is stronger, Khalid comes to class every night. Riyad doesn't. Everybody understand this? Riyad was a little sleepy. He was tired. Khalid had a coffee. He was up. He was paying attention. Everybody understand this? Or let's just say Khalid, let's say hypothetically, he's the sharper tool in the box. Hypothetically. Tired, not saying that he is. Okay? If two saws, this saw is what? Sharper. So there's no way we can take both narrations. One says red, one says what? Blue. So we would have to take Khalid's narration and reject Riyad's narration. Khalid's narration we call mahfuz, and Riyad's narration we call what? Shadh. We call it shadh. Everybody clear on this? As far as if Riyad was totally weak, and Khalid was thiqah, he was trustworthy, he was strong. Keep in mind, this is only the basic elementary lesson. This is not what all of the ulama say. This is not necessarily what's correct. This is the basic ABCs. If he was da'if, going against someone that was trustworthy, then his narration will be called munkar. And Khalid's narration will be called ma'ruf. That is totally, right now in this beginning stage, hypothetical and theoretical. No one misquote us on this. That is what? Hypothetical right now. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this?
No.
So one narration says he took new water, and the next narration says he took new water but from the arms, not from the head. Everybody understand this? So the first narration is not sahih, and the second one is sahih. Even though they both originally were sahih. Everybody understand this? This is a basic background of these different terms in the science of hadith. Obviously, everybody's not going to get this. Everybody's not, doesn't have the interest to get this, but you don't have to. But there are people who do. There are people who do aspire to learn more and to get a better meal. A better what? A better meal. And not just a quick snack. Khayr inshallah, and the classes and the lessons are for what? For everybody. Gourmet, organic, GMO. Inshallah, no GMO, hopefully. Hopefully none of that. Everybody clear on this? There's some people online, some brothers who have what? Bigger appetites for a little more. Khayr inshallah, and part of the class is sitting and benefiting and learning and listening, even if you don't get everything. Some of it is beyond you. I didn't understand it. It's okay. You don't have to learn every single what? Every single thing. Everybody clear on this? Khayr inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. So that's that issue. Obviously, the next part is the fiqh of the hadiths, which is, what's the mas'ala? What do we take from these hadiths? Is that when you make wudu, you should do what, or you shouldn't do what? When you wipe your ears, what should you do?
Use fresh water.
Or new water. That's the what? Fresh water or? Old water. The moistness from the head or direct new water from the ears. I don't know this. Later on, not necessarily now, we're going to study the issue on the ears. Is it mandatory waste to wash the ears in wudu?
No, sir.
Not mandatory. That's going to come what? Later on. Everybody on this? We can clearly agree that it's what? At least recommended. But is it mandatory? That's going to come later. Isn't it that? So we'll stop here. So this is hadith number 39, Sharif. Next one, next week. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, whenever next time we have class, will be number 41. Because we did 40 already.
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Jazakumullahu khairan.
When I got married, me and my wife got a lot of gifts, monetary gifts, and that was over the nisab for a year. So does it being a gift have any effect on paying zakat? And since we both own it, does that mean we pay one zakat for both of us, or we each have to pay zakat on that amount of money?
Question says, when I got married, me and my wife got a lot of gifts. Much of the gifts were things that were monetary. Money. And the money reached the nisab, and it was held for over a year. Do we have to pay zakat on it? And if we do, Do we share it, etc.? We say is that if you get a gift, some of them might say even a loan, but let's just say a gift. It's your possession now. It's mine. I have it. It's mine. I own it. Whatever you use the money for, whatever you do with the money, however you got the money, if the money is not a part of your daily food, your daily bread, your daily soup, your daily needs and necessities, the gas in your car, the toll to go across the bridge, your metro pass, your daily expenses that you need, or weekly expenses, or even monthly expenses. Pay a bill, Con Edison, National Grid, whatever the case may be, your daily stuff that you need to live from month to month, day to day, week to week. And if that money sits there for 12 months, and you didn't touch it, you added to it, or you didn't, it was sitting there, it's not a part of your daily, weekly, monthly expenses, then you must pay zakat. Regardless how you got it. Regardless what? How you got it. Gift or not. Getting a gift is one of the ways of owning money in Islam. Everybody understand this? It's one of the ways of owning money in Islam. So therefore, once again, if you used it, if it didn't reach the nisab, it's one thing. Everybody feeling this? If it was a gift such as a horse, a car, a house, that's a different story. But if it was actual money, it's actual chips, and the chips sat there, and you didn't touch them, you now must what? Pay zakat. Next question is, the money was given to us. Who was the money given to? You guys both, or one of the two? If you know specifically, or was it just saying this is for you guys? Everybody understand this? Either or, if your wife has her own money which she pays her zakat, and you have your own money for what you pay zakat, then figure out how much it is, and everybody put their share in. Obviously, it's easier for one person to just do it. You see what I'm saying to you? And if the money is split, then the nisab is going to be what?
Greater.
It's going to be the same.
Oh.
Nah, the money doesn't change.
Oh.
It's $10,000.
Oh.
I own 6, she owns 4. I own 5. You see what I'm saying to you?
Same amount of money.
You want to break it down, but that's just making things more complicated. Wallah. Follow.
Sheikh, just following up with the same question. I mean, if it's her bank account, its money is saved. Remember, I asked a similar question actually, and my understanding was that if it's her money and her money is being saved, then it needs to come from her account versus the shared account. Now,
Question says with regards to a shared account. This is a bit different now. Because the money, based off what I understood from your question, is not necessarily separate. Correct? You said it was given to both of us. Now,
I don't understand
That-
what's the difference.
class. Let's do it like this. Somebody gives me and my wife. They give me and my wife a watch. Not to me, not to her, to both of us. And we just keep it in the house. Then somebody gives me and my wife $10,000. I took 3, she took 7. I put the 3 in my account, she took 7 of hers, or under the bed, or behind the painting. Where? Allah, everybody saying this? Your Nike box, your Timberland box, wherever you put your money at. Everybody has their own ways of, safe box. Under the refrigerator. I don't know him. What's important is the money has now been what? Separated. It's now been what? Separated. As if I don't own the 7,000 anymore. I just own what? 3,000. It's not the same as the money sitting there and it's what?
Not being touched.
Aywa. Or it's not the same as me and my wife specifically having shared property, shared wealth, shared accounts. It's a bit different. Make sense now? Always clear? Wallahu a'lam. Father Khalid. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. If it's unclear, we want to learn. We don't want to sit here, follow. No shyness in the religion. Yusuf? Follow.
He said touching the money. So, do you mean touching it in a way that it goes below the nisab, or just the fact that you're always going in? You're always going to that envelope or that box. You're using it for different things. But
What's left? What's left of it that reaches the nisab?
No.
If it was 10,000 and I took 3,000, took 1,000, put 500, that, so on and so forth, God bless. But it's what's important is the what? That it doesn't go beneath. As long as it's above the nisab, then it is liable for zakat. Fairness is what? Aywa. Wallahu a'lam. But you don't have to pay zakat on what you took out of it because it wasn't savings. It wasn't what? It wasn't savings. That was money that was used. Fine. Father. Clear or not? Make sense?
I have one more question.
Father.
So you're saying if you're splitting the money, right? What if splitting the money makes both accounts go below the nisab now? So if you're doing it together, it's above. If you split it, it's below.
Splitting the money, if it's done, then it's done. Splitting it, not saying you would do this inshallah to avoid zakat, that's a different story. Everybody understand this? We share sheep. The sheep together reach the nisab. But if we split it, then it's such as how many sheep? We have a farm together. Together our sheep reach how many? We'll remember this. 30?
80?
Wasn't it 7?
8?
80.
80?
10. Party.
There you go. Ascent. So, we both have sheep together, right? How much is due after 40 sheep? Right. Together. And if we can't obviously cut the sheep in half, then we're going to do what? The money. $250, $300, whatever. Everybody clear this? But if when the tax collector or the jubat of zakat, when they come to get the zakat, we do what? I have 20, you have 20. Now none of us have to? Everybody understand this? That's one concept. Everybody understand this? That's what? As far as it's just my wife took the money and I took the money, that's a different story. Then it doesn't reach the nisab, it doesn't what? Reach the nisab. But now this is totally theoretical now. Because the question clearly said that the money was given to us. Which is it? Both of us split? You understand? Make sense now, always? You sure? Alhamdulillah. Khair inshallah. Fadl. Different question or
Zakat.
different question?
Yes, the question,
We'll
but
come back after the live stream. Fadl. And don't forget, it's Thursday night, being in that will be what? A question for everybody.
Ya Allah.
Question says, Assalamu alaikum. May you mention how the ghusl after menses is performed? Does the hair have to be unraveled?
Question says, with regards to making ghusl after the menses, does the hair have to be unwrapped? We say there are two main views among the ulama. First view is that it doesn't have to be taken out, untied. And the second view is that it does. If you feel that it's safest and it's easy for you to take it out and avoid the difference of opinion, then you can do that. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, Salama radiallahu anha, she said, I tie my hair, I braid my hair. Inni mra'atun ashuddu dhafra ra'si. She says, do I have to take it out when I make the ghusl of janaba? He said, no. Pour the water on your hair, pour the water on your body, and you will become clean. Another version of this hadith states, lil haydati wal janaba, for menses and aywa. And he said no. So based off of that narration, that it's not mandatory to do it. Some people use hadith of Aisha, and that's a long issue with regards to the question, did she make ghusl for her menses, or did she make ghusl for ihram? So many of the ulama, they say that it is not mandatory, neither janaba nor ghusl. And what's important is that the water reach the scalp, with or without
Untying hair.
aywa, with or without untying hair. With regards to braids, we're talking about braids and plaits. Ponytail is simple. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? So, is it mandatory for a woman to do it for menses? Everybody understand this? Two main views among the ulama. One says yes, one says no. We mentioned some of the dalils saying that you don't have to do it. Wallahu a'lam. Fadl.
you mentioned previous class in zakat, like let's say you own a house which is worth over 20 million or whatnot. If you live on that house, there's no zakat on the house. But let's say you have a house which is worth 1 million, but now you rent it out, you don't live on it. Now you get a rent of, let's say, $2,000 a month on that particular property. do you give zakah on the rent or the value of the house? And the value, is it according to the market at the moment, or when you purchase the house? That's
Some
the value?
ulama say you give zakah on the actual rent. Yes. New information. Some say on the actual what? Actual rent. That's problematic. Because if the rent is taken, let's say the rent is not being saved. The rent just dissolves into the pool of my budget. But, so some ulama say. Others, they say the rent could be paid on what? Value. And some say that there's what? Nothing. Some say it's what? Nothing. Next question.
Question says, what is the best way to review the Quran after you complete it?
The best way of reviewing the Quran after you complete, there's several different ways. Several ways. One of the ways is continuing to make dua. Continuing to ask Allah for barakah, for success. Continuing asking Allah to make you sincere and honest in your intention, and memorizing and reviewing and studying and teaching the Quran. Just like you ask Allah to allow you to memorize it, ask Allah to allow you to keep it. Everybody understand this? Very important concept, connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many people get caught up in the tangible means without realizing the spiritual concept, that the Quran being in your heart is a miracle. Is a what? Without a doubt. Just memorizing the whole book. How many verses sound the same? Sound similar. Lillahi ma fi samawati wal ardi. Lillahi. And you be able to recite it, to memorize it, things to quote it in another language that's not your original language. It's a delay. That's a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the nature of the Quran's memorization is miraculous. So you can't just depend upon your weak, mortal ways of memorizing it. It's deeper than that. It's something that's from Allah. Everybody on this? It's a barakah from Allah. And you get that through asking Allah and through trying hard and striving. So many people, they're faithful and devoted when they're climbing the ladder, when they're ascending the mountain. They get to the summit, they get to the peak, and they what? No more dua. Everybody understand? There's many people like this. They make dua, oh Allah, allow me to get married, and they stop what? Make dua. Oh Allah, allow me to have a business, I go to America, they go, they what? Stop. Many people like this. Oh Allah, allow me to be a student in the same university in Medina, they go to Medina, they graduate, and they stop. And that's very bad. So this is one, I would say, one of the most important pieces of advice. Is to continue the connection to Allah. Rather, make even more dua. And rather, his life is even more dangerous now. You have a greater proof against you. You have less excuses now in front of Allah. I gave you my book. He says, Allah will ask the man. You can tell him all his blessings. Mada. He says, man, I'm in Tafiha. What did you do? Everyone understand this? You have to take the advice of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to reciting the Quran monthly, with regards to reciting the Quran every 10 days, every 7 days. And some of the people knowledge they say is that if you recite the Quran once a month, twice a month, every 10 days, there's no way you're going to forget it. There's no way. Impossible for you to forget it. Everybody understand this? So for you to have a daily width of the recitation of the Quran. We didn't say review. We said just what? Recitation. Starting with Surah Al-Fatiha, ending with Surah Al-Nas. Every single day. I read a person, not speaking about myself, a person says, I read no less than a juz. Approximately 22 pages. Every day. Sick, sleep, tired, rain, sleep, snow, hell, tornado, tsunami, at least. If you have more time, more strength, more stamina, 2 juz a day. Once after Salat al-Fajr, and another juz before I go to sleep. So that's every 14 days, 15 days, you're going to be doing what? Not review, just qira'ah. Let alone the rewards, the forgiveness, the barakat. Everybody saying this? And also on a daily basis, having a width of muraja. Every day I make a review of whatever. A hizb, a juz, a rubu, whatever you have the ability to do. 10 pages, 3 pages, I'll win. Alright. Tell you what I read, what? of muraja, whether it's with yourself or whether it's with
Someone else.
someone else. Here, test me. Fadal. Everybody understand this? So every single day you're reading it, which every Muslim should be doing, student of knowledge or not. And every single day you're doing what? Reviewing it with a specific portion, no least in this. You're what? Nisab. Everybody understand this? You're what? Nisab. You're minimum on a daily basis. So it's a very important concept of reviewing, of studying, of memorizing the Quran al-Kareem, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everybody understand this? A third practical way is reading in the salat what you've memorized. You memorize the whole entire Quran every single day, mix up, read a different surah, read a different juz and dhuhr and asr. Okay? If you're the imam of the masjid, whatever you do by yourself, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this? At nighttime, night prayer, qiyam al-layl. Everybody understand this? Very important concept. Another very practical piece of advice I would give is to teach the Quran. Teach the Quran. If you have the correct qualifications, teach the Quran. If you don't have the correct qualifications, if you're not a master of tajweed and this qira and that qira and this isnan and kada and kada and kada, what stops you from teaching children in the masjid? What stops you from teaching a general layman Muslim that can barely read or write anything? You don't have to be a what? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this?
No.
You don't have to necessarily do that. Pay zakat on your what? On your ilm. And the zakat, you get so many things out of it. Number one is that it's mandatory. That's first and foremost. It's mandatory to pay zakat on the wealth Allah has given you. And it's haram to be stingy. And not to be a miser. And the shaitan comes and he tricks you. I won't do the Quran, I won't lead the salah, I won't do the class because I'm not qualified. Because, oh. Shaitan, he tricks you. And you realize it, that you're stingy. I don't want to give my money because they may waste it. I don't want to give my money because they may spend it. Because kada, I haven't seen any improvements. Kada and kada and kada and kada. At the end of the day, the shaitan has what? He's outsmarted you. For you to be stingy. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تُؤْتُوا سُفَهَاءَ أَمْوَالَكُمْ. Don't give the fools your money. So, shaitan tricks you. He tricks you. And the same applies to ilm. I can't do the class. I can't teach nobody. I can't help nobody out because I myself am not. If the people who call themselves memorizers of the Quran, teachers of the Quran, tajweed, wallahi, and only Allah knows. If they were lined up with the ulama of the recitation of the Quran of 100 years, how would they stand? 300 years, 500 years, the Sahaba. Would it be any comparison?
I don't know.
Everybody understand this? So that's always said. I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. I don't. There's always somebody. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ إِيش عَلِيمٌ. Allah says in the Quran, above every learned man is someone who's. So everybody, every town is someone bigger and better. Everybody understand this? So teaching the Quran. If you don't have your own halaqah, teach your brother. Teach your sister. Teach your son. Teach somebody that you can pass what? The Quran to. So that's the first benefit of that is zakat, is that it's mandatory. And that's something that inshallah you will have to answer to Allah on your own Qiyamah for. Number two is that you're making revision. By what? Teaching. And from the best ways to make revision, I would personally say is teaching. Number three is zakat. From the meanings of zakat is what? An-nama. Enhancement, maturity of the wealth. Barakah of the wealth. So from the barakah of you having the Quran is that you what? You teach it to others. Allah put barakah. And as we already said, memorizing, reading studying the Quran is not 101% what? Tangible. It's not just based off of your memory and your review. There lies no doubt. This man reading the Quran, ayah after ayah after ayah, knowledge is something that's what? No doubt. It's support that's not from the human being. And Allah says this. We have made the what? Quran easy. Yes, sir, now. We have made it. Many ayat, Allah talks about this. We've only made it easy for you to do this. So we will make it easy. So Allah, Rabbul Alameen, has made the Quran what? Easy. So there's much more than just your review, your intelligence, your hard work. There's much more than that. It's something that's deeper than that. Everybody understand this? Everybody understand this? Is a very important concept when it comes to reviewing the Quran. Also, last but not least, I would advise you to constantly listen to the Quran al-Kareem. also make for yourself a wird. And obviously listening is not as time consuming as reading it. So you can if you plan it out, you can listen to 5 juz a day. Driving in the car, sitting in your home, you can listen to 5 juz, 6 juz all day from Fajr to Dhuhr. How many hours? Dhuhr to Asr, Asr to Maghrib, Maghrib to Isha. You can listen to Quran, listen to Quran, listen to Quran over and over and over again. All of these different things, I would say the combined arms element. We call it this. Combined arms element. All of the people in the army coming together to make a front. Reading, memorizing it, reviewing it, teaching it, listening to it, making dua. Everybody on this is no way that you can lose when you combine all your arms together in one element. That's my advice. And the tawfiq is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One last question before we stop.
Is it allowed to watch TV shows or movies which contain concepts of gods and different gods, for example, an ancient Greek movie? Can you explain the understanding of the concept of imitating the kuffar? Is it just a general concept or anything specific that they do?
It's a very detailed answer is needed for this question. In general, is it permissible to watch TV without gods or anything? Is it permissible to watch television? Is it permissible to watch a movie? Is it permissible to watch a cartoon? That's the first set of questions. As far as watching something that has some bad content, and nothing can be more bad than shirk. Just because you read something or watch something or hear somebody say something doesn't mean that you have to what? Believe in it. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Doesn't what? Doesn't mean that. Rather, there could be something that's educational, that's based off of the belief of different gods. Ancient Egypt, the people from this country, from this land, the Arabian Peninsula. You read about shirk. You read the Quran and Allah talks about, they said, aliha, gods. This has nothing to do with the television and movies. We said that those set of questions can't be answered within a couple of minutes. Everybody understands? Everybody clear this? Read a book. Is it haram for me to read a book, a story, or an educational book about ancient Egypt, ancient Egyptians, and they every 2 pages, Ra, and this, and that, and the sun, the moon, fertility, peg, the Romans, the Greek, that. Doesn't necessarily mean that. Doesn't what? Doesn't necessarily what? Doesn't necessarily mean that. As far as children, then obviously, they say it's permissible to watch cartoons and movies. But we're saying, if your child's going to watch a cartoon or movie, when you're talking about gods, you have to have your children what? Educated. That there's only one God. True. One true God. And it's shirk. And these people are polytheists, they're mushrikun, they're so on and so forth. Let alone the concept that perhaps it may be a benefit in them learning and hearing and reading and seeing other cultures and religions. For them to know what Islam is and what kufr and shirk is and what Islam is. A very important concept. Everybody's not Muslim, everybody doesn't believe in Allah. What's God's, Abby? What does it mean, God's? Why do people worship? Why are they praying? It's a very important concept. The child's mind, especially in 2016. And whether you see your children in Muslim school or not, one time or another, they want to interact with non-Muslims. One time in their lives, they want to what? Interact with non-Muslims. So you can arm them and teach them, or you can keep them totally green. And only Allah knows what it will be like their first encounter with shirk and with kufr.